Should you buy Tomb Raider in 2021? Tomb Raider was rebooted back in 2013 by Crystal Dynamics, which is the same studio that made Marvel's Avengers, so I thought it'd be really interesting to review one of their older games. The question is, if Tomb Raider is worth your time in 2021, so I played through it again over the last week and man, I have a few things to say. Leave your comments down below on your thoughts about Tomb Raider 2013 and don't forget to join the Discord or subscribe. We hit 2,000 subscribers, that is just crazy to me, so thank you all for the support. Tomb Raider 2013 tells a coming of age story for Lara Croft, so when you first boot up Tomb Raider, you aren't playing as this confident Tomb Raider known as Lara Croft, but more of a scared young woman terrified of her current situation. Now yes, the story has been done before, but I genuinely think it was done very well here, with some great side characters too, but I do wish they had more screen time. But before we talk any more about narrative, let's get into some gameplay. Tomb Raider starts off with the bare essentials, a bit of platforming and a tutorial section on how the puzzles work and the new weapon for Lara, the bow. To my surprise, I actually forgot they added hunting, and while it's not particularly useful, it's nice it's there. You quickly learn the cover mechanics and how the game will play throughout its fairly short length and how you will have to adapt to the different enemies that you will face. This is also reflected through story because as Lara learns how to survive while trying to help her friends, you learn how to use all the badass weapons at your disposal. I was a bit disappointed you couldn't use the classic double pistols that Lara is known for, but I understand it's a reboot and Crystal Dynamics wanted to put their own mark on the franchise, and can you blame them? So how are the characters? Well, as I mentioned, they are surprisingly well thought out. They go down the typical stereotypes like Ross being the dad of the group trying to teach Lara how tough life is, but at the same time being lovable, whereas Jonah is less about teaching and more about being a badass protector for Lara when you meet him, which is played on towards the end because obviously she becomes a bit more independent and all that, so that's quite interesting to see. As I mentioned, I do wish they got more screen time, and most of the time you don't see them but hear them from your radio until closer to the end of the story. But even then, you do start to feel you barely know these characters until the last hour of the game because you just don't have enough screen time with them. But if you don't need screen time and you're happy to listen to audio and stuff like that, dialogue, you love collecting things and hearing all these stories through different collectibles, then yeah, you'll actually really enjoy it. But I do think that it would have benefited from a bit more screen time for these characters. But most importantly, how is Lara? I actually really like Lara Croft. She starts off slightly annoying as she does the classic game protagonist thing of whining and whining even in gameplay, and it does get to a point where you do want her to just stop and get on with it, you know, but I respect it because it's clear Crystal Dynamics didn't want to rush her character development, and that is a good thing. So it's not really a complaint but more of a personal nitpick. However, there is a reason why she is widely known, and that is simply because she is just an awesome protagonist and is fun to play as. You watch her grow over the course of the game, failing to help people as well as being the reason people get injured or worse, but she starts to accept that and learns from her mistakes over the course of the game, and it really works. And gameplay works very similarly, so enough about the story, let's get into it. Gameplay is good. The AI could have been a lot better, but it's clear Crystal Dynamics was focused on telling a story throughout gameplay itself, with how you upgrade weapons and how the levels are designed. You feel like you're learning along with Lara, eventually gaining the abilities for traversal as well as adapting to various tombs that are spread out throughout the game, each time getting harder and harder. But I will say the puzzles aren't particularly difficult, but they do cause you to scratch your head once or twice until you realise it's a simple thing, and you proceed to break your monitor. You eventually unlock upgrades for your bow like fire arrows and even a rope arrow which helps traverse various environments, and then unlocking another upgrade for that same rope, making it even more useful. That's a good time to talk about customization. Customization here is acceptable. There isn't much going on really. There's a few upgrades for your various weapons like your shotgun, pistol, bow, etc. But it doesn't go much further than that. Some upgrades for the pistol are actually really useful, making it more lethal, but I may be biased because the pistol was my go-to. I don't know, it always feels great getting that one tap with a pistol, watching your enemies drop to the floor. And now I'm on a watch list. You also unlock skill points to further improve your efficiency, like decreasing reload speeds for your weapons or reducing fall damage, and even going as far as offering a new gameplay mechanic with your pickaxe, which is simply awesome because you basically add a whole melee mechanic into the gameplay variety if you choose to upgrade that specific skill, and that option I think is really cool. Now, I should address the criticism of the reboot of Tomb Raider being an Uncharted knockoff. I disagree heavily. Uncharted and Tomb Raider are very different games, and I would even say Tomb Raider in terms of gameplay has more to offer because of customization, optional tombs, and a few other things. If you like Uncharted, you will like Tomb Raider, I can guarantee that. I actually think if Naughty Dog does, for whatever reason, do another Uncharted game despite the games being finished, they should take a lot from Tomb Raider to add a lot more replay value to their games. That's my stance on that. There is also a multiplayer component, but I never really played that. I did back in 2014 on the definitive edition on PS4, but I just don't remember much of it, so I can't really judge it. So the narrative is pretty good, and the gameplay is satisfying. So to me, I do think Tomb Raider is worth buying in 2021. Thank you for watching.